see. Hello, hello. We've got a couple people already in. I think we're waiting on several more people who said they were going to join. Oh, Marin's in here. Ah, great. Hello, hello. You guys, I'm sitting here getting things set up, and I look over and find my stretchy lizard. This is how you know you have a 5-year-old in the house. This just floats around and surprises me in different places. Actually, I found this in the refrigerator yesterday, so I think that was actually my mom. All right, Maren, I'm so glad you were able to join us. Good, Alicia and Tiffany, welcome. Well, I'm going to wait just a minute for things to pick up a little bit. I know I've messaged multiple people this morning who said, oh, yeah, thanks for the reminder. I'll be jumping in. All right, welcome, everybody. Hello, hello. All right, I am recording. If you guys want to pop on and say hi. Hi, Emily. Good morning. It's good to see another face, so I'm not all alone. Hi. And we have somebody else. Who's this?
Well, this is Eli,
Eli.
and
Hi,
Bella's
Eli.
here too. She's
Ah,
not on the camera
yep,
though.
yep. No, it's all right. My 5-year-old is floating around the house somewhere. She will probably make an appearance. Oh, but we do have our studio mascot here because my name is Mrs. Fox. We have Fortissimo Fox. So
Oh.
all my preschool students love Fortissimo.
Mhm.
I have one student who can't say his name, and she's 3 or 4, and she calls him Miss Missimo. And I said, that's close enough.
Yeah.
All right, wonderful. Well, I think I will go ahead and jump into here. The PowerPoint that I have is so full of stuff. I don't know, I can't possibly get through it all in 30 minutes, but I will try. All right, well, let's see. And if everybody wants to, let me know where you're from. I don't know, you can chat in the chat box. You guys are welcome to unmute and say hi if you want to. I know it looks like we got one or two with the audio is not connecting yet, so I hope that works out. All right.
We're from
David.
Maine.
Oh, are you really? That's
Hmm.
neat. You know, my husband is from Maine and his family's in Monmouth, Maine.
Well, that's how we found out about you
Oh,
through
okay.
the kids just did the Fox Farm last week.
Oh, that's great. And
Yeah.
actually, my little student that says Miss Missimo, she's I think she's in Gray, Maine, near Portland. That's
Yes.
neat. All righty. Well, we'll go ahead and dive in. I know in the chat box here, I've got a Winterville, California, Maine. We got people from all over. Wonderful. Well, my husband and I, oh, Eli's got a fox too. Hi. Um, so my husband and I live in Athens, Georgia, home with the Bulldogs. Go Dogs. Woo. And we have a music studio. We teach piano, violin, viola, and cello. So we teach, all the strings except for double bass and piano. Most of the students that we have are piano students, but we're trying to grow our strings program. My daughter plays cello and piano, and you guys, she's 5.5, and it's just incredible how musical she is. And I've realized that a lot of the stuff that I've done with her is stuff that any normal mom or dad can do. You don't have to have specialized, education to talk about short sounds and long sounds. I mean, we can all do this. So I thought I've got to share this information with other parents. So let's see. We'll go ahead and get started. So this is my inspiration right here. Her name is Catherine. We get a lot of comments on her hair because it is red, and I am aware that it is red. I have people stop me and say, "Did you know she has red hair?" Yeah, I birthed her. I'm aware. But anyways, we have so much fun with music, and we do music together as a family. And Catherine is actually in one of our beginner quartets that we have. We actually host quartets in our home for free. I say free, it's part of our program for students that are already in our program. So that's really cool. But yeah, so I would say the very first aspect of our studio that we do that I think is really unique and also super just powerful for building musicality in students is active listening. I call it active listening. Um, we listen to classical music, and a lot of people say, oh, well, maybe classical music is not my favorite. And I say, I challenge you to
Curious.
Look
Yeah,
into classical
yeah.
music. Uh-oh.
I
Let's
will later.
Oh, you guys, I've never done a big webinar before. How do I mute people? I think somebody's unmuted. We might want to mute ourselves. If you know how to mute yourself, we'll let you go ahead and do that. Let's see, participants. My dad is a webinar guru and he's 65 and he was giving me all these tips. It's too much for me. But anyways, so active listening, we have these curated YouTube playlists and we have a playlist for each of the different composers that we study. And so we assign a composer to each student every semester and they listen to one piece per week. We have them do these listening logs where we're talking about what does this music make you think of? How does it make you feel? The reason why we do this is it's not just a cerebral exercise. Music is a language. And if music is a language, and it is, we need to listen to it in order to learn how to understand it, in order to understand, what it's saying. Because how can we expect students to express the emotions in music if they don't even understand them? They don't know how to identify them. This has been really valuable with my daughter Catherine because it's really expanded her vocabulary talking about emotions. And how many times as parents have we said, please use your words and express yourself, describe how you're feeling. Now, another thing that I would love to see parents start to foster and develop in babies and toddlers, I mean, it's never too early to start this, is pitch. Some of you guys might be aware that Mandarin, Chinese, is a tonal language, which means that the way that you say a word changes the meaning of the word. So if you say ma or ma, those are two different words. In China, there's actually a higher percentage of people who have absolute pitch, which means if they hear a note, they can say, oh, that's G. The only person that I know with absolute pitch is my daughter. And it kind of blew my mind at the age of 3 when I realized she had absolute pitch. I said, wow, I've never met anybody with absolute pitch before. And some people say there are pros and cons, and it's kind of a blessing and a curse. I think it is really cool, and it's a very useful skill as a musician. And so she can tune her cello by ear, which is cool. I'm like, oh, I can't do that. There are some little games that I play with my preschool students. The first one is called Sea Monster and Baby Bird. And this is just drawing their attention to the extremes of pitch, like low sounds, say it's a sea monster, and high sounds, it's a baby bird. And so that's really cute. And I start that, I have little students. I did this with Catherine when she was 2. Head, shoulders, knees, and toes is a little bit more advanced for a little bit older students. And I assign 4 pitches to different parts of the body. And if they hear the high sound, they touch their head, and then it goes down to the shoulders, and then the knees and the toes. This is great when I have a piano student who's really young and really wiggly. If they have a lot of energy, I say, let's stand up and play head, shoulders, knees, and toes. Sometimes we will line up stuffed animals on the piano and talk about, like, okay, what about a lion? What kind of sound would a lion make? Is that a high sound or low sound? So that's really cute. I'm going to talk more about the musical alphabet on a different slide. So I'll skip that. But the solfege chart, if you don't know solfege is, do, re, mi, is singing pitches. And that's a really valuable tool. Solfege was not part of my musical education. We learned the alphabet letters C, D, E, F, G. But many countries use solfege, and it's also just a very useful tool for a musician to have. Um, for babies and toddlers, this is something, nobody ever suggested this to me or taught me this, but it just was so intuitive to me. When Catherine was a baby, like if I was laying her down into a crib or down onto the changing mat, I would usually sing pitches going down, and I would say something like, now we're going down to bed, or something, now we're getting up again. And it was just kind of part of our life. So I think just constantly drawing their attention to pitch, going higher and lower, is really good. Rhythm is super important. Steady beat with babies, that can be bouncing them, bounce them to the beat of the music. When they're a little bit older, we can do clapping, stomping, dancing. You could go on YouTube, and there are all of these great body percussion games or body rhythm. And they have some for preschool students that's just steady beat. Developing a foundation of steady beat is super important. We all know one person that cannot clap on beat, don't we? And it's painful. And so this is, that's usually just a person who their family was not very musical. They didn't do a lot with music. But anybody can. I talk to parents all the time who are like, oh no, no, I'm not musical, there's no way, I can't. And I say, no, yes, you can. You can. You can develop these things. Short sounds and long sounds, again, we do animal sounds. What kind of animal makes a short sound? It could be, a bird says, or what sound is a long sound? It could be a cow says and so short and long is a great precursor to rhythm. If you are musical, you probably know, quarter notes and half notes and whole notes like this. Those students can't start to really understand and process rhythm like that if they can't actually hear the difference between short and long, and they don't understand this. Also, too, if you have mega blocks in your house, Sharpies. I mean, we can practice all kinds of rhythm with mega blocks. I love them. Duplo. Actually, I think these are mega blocks. But anyways, there's a book series called Tiny Tinkles Town, which is really cute. They've got a really cute rhythm system. I don't have time to click on the links in this whole presentation, but those links will be available in a Google Doc that I'll send to you guys afterwards. But she assigns a name to each of the notes, like this is Kip, because the quarter note has one sound, and Hugo has two sounds, so it's Hugo. Anyways, those are very cute. All right, for ear training, we do want to train the students' eyes to recognize, reading notes on the page, but ear training is so important. Nicola Cantan is a teacher in Ireland, and she has a wonderful blog and all kinds of resources. She has these little printable oral paddles. You can put them on popsicle sticks, and you don't have to have these. You can just, have your students say short, long, high, low, quiet, loud, things like that. But my students love these. It becomes such a fun game to hold up the little paddle, see how fast you can identify the sounds. One of the most foundational concepts is same versus different. As a new teacher, I don't think it occurred to me that some students may not already be at this level, and we need to kind of back up to this level. But I've had students 8, 9 years old where I can play two notes. And I said, are those two notes the same or different? And they'll say, the same. And I'll say, whoa, whoa, whoa. Those are not the same. Those are different sounds, versus, and that's, same, same. So, helping students to understand pitches that are the same and different is the very ground level. And so that's really great to do at home. And all of these things, I would love it if all of my little students started piano lessons with me and already knew a lot of this stuff. I mean, we would just be able to go. That would be awesome. It's totally fine if they don't know these things. I don't expect them to, but that would be really cool. If you know what a metronome is, if you have some prior musical experience, you can turn on a metronome and clap quarter notes or half notes or whole notes and have them try to guess. And that comes from being able to count sounds. So I talk about oral counting. This is one of the things I do with preschool students too, as I'll say, okay, Miss Macy is going to clap some sounds. Let's see how many sounds you hear. Sometimes I'll let them watch me first for the visual cue as well, but I might do, and they have to say two sounds. We'll do this on the piano. And these are the kinds of things, you guys, that you can do in the car when you're driving somewhere and the kids are, starting to get on your nerves and you're like, you guys be quiet. You can play these games and foster early musicality. I remember we lived in Florida for about a year, and when we would go into Publix to go shopping, Catherine, she was, I think, about 3, and she'd be in the shopping cart, and kids get fussy. They're bored, why are we here? Can we go home? And I would sing pitches and try to have her copy me. I'd sing something like, do, re, do, and she'd sing do, re, do. And so as a parent, if you get familiar with a solfege scale and just practice singing it, that's a really great tool as well. Musical alphabet is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and it repeats. This is something that anybody can do. You can learn the musical alphabet. If you don't know it, you can learn it. If you have a piano, awesome. You can learn the keyboard geography yourself and work with your student. You practice going backwards and forwards in the musical alphabet. That's really, really good. Backwards is hard. I think even as adults, for us to say G, F, E, D, C, B, A takes a little bit of practice. There are some printable cards that you can use, musical alphabet cards that are really cute. Um, if you have multiple kids, you can practice tossing a ball back and forth. And as you go around, go through A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and then reverse it. That's hard. Now, my number one book recommendation, if you guys do not have this book, and you probably don't, I want you to go after this presentation and purchase Here Come the High Notes. There's also the other book, which is called Look Out for Low Notes. One is treble clef, which would normally be the right hand on piano. One is bass clef, which is the left hand on piano. Um, when I saw the Kickstarter for this book, I think my daughter was about 2 or 2.5, you guys. I literally yelped out loud and I told my husband, I was like, honey, we have to buy this book because I mean, just the one or two sample pages, it was just obvious to me like whoever wrote this book understands the mind of a child. The pages are cute and colorful. The concept is it's a storybook that teaches you how to read music. I have literally had parents come to me and say, Macy, I did not know how to read music, but I read this book to my 4-year-old a couple of times and I know how to read music. And I'm like, well, there you go. Testament to the power of this. And actually, I haven't mentioned it, but the author of this book is currently in this Zoom meeting with us. Hey, Marin. We are friends now through this book. I didn't know her previously, but I got in touch with her and I was like, hey, I know you have this treble clef book, but my daughter's about to start cello lessons, so I kind of need you to write a bass clef book ASAP. She was like, actually, I'm already working on that. It came out right before Catherine started cello lessons. And it was the timing was perfect because after 2 or 3 weeks of reading Look Out for Low Notes, she had the bass clef down. And note reading for her, she was reading music before she was reading English. She was reading black and white notes on the staff at the age of 3, which is unbelievable to me. And there are music teachers that will say, well, you don't need to push reading at an early age. If music is a language, kids should acquire music by, listening and speaking first. And I agree, listening to music and speaking the language of music, absolutely. But I'm like, man, uh, if they can learn how to read music at the age of 3, why not? I certainly don't think it hurts anything. And if you have older kids, absolutely. I mean, this is a book. Catherine had a copy of this that was the softback copy when she was 2.5. And I mean, she would like keep it in her crib with her. She would take it to the store. Anyways, cannot recommend it enough. Note Rush is a game. It's an app that's about $8 or $9 in the App Store. If you have older kids, this combines keyboard geography with note reading, and you can actually make your own levels. So it's very customizable. I use this with students as young as 4 or 5 years old. As soon as they start recognizing Snooty C and Friendly D from Here Come the High Notes, they all have cute little names like that, then we start quizzing them with Note Rush, and that's really cool. Tiny Tinklestown, like I said, you can go on Amazon, and these books are really cute as well. They help with keyboard geography, kind of like a My First Songbook sort of thing. And also the rhythm. They've got some great rhythm things also. Let me see in here. All right, next page. A couple of concepts before a child can really begin confidently reading notes. They have to be able to visually discriminate between what we call line notes and space notes. And so there's a great PowerPoint that I have. It's called Staff Stuff, and I can get that to you guys if you want it. But basically, it's just helping people to understand, visually where a note is on the staff tells us who it is. So that's really good. For my little students, I will often print a giant staff and have them practice making line notes and space notes. I don't care what notes they are, just practicing, this is a line note, that's a space note. You can use M&Ms, marshmallows, those are fun. You can use finger paint dot markers. If you've got like a stamp pad, you can stamp fingers, that's really fun. And that's what I do for my little students that are too young to confidently draw circles, is I just have them do finger stamps. Wormies is a game that practices directional reading. So that's another aspect of reading is are the notes going up the staff or down the staff? And being able to visually recognize that is really important. All right, let's see. Oops, I think we got a little drawing on the screen. That's okay. All right, next page here. Um, this is an actual picture of Miss Macy actually crying on Christmas morning because my husband surprised me with the lifetime subscription to Prodigy's music, which is not cheap, you guys. And I think this is Christmas of 2019, and Catherine was, I think she had just turned 2. And I recognized how influential this is going to be in her musical development. If you cannot afford private music lessons, and if you can, I highly, highly recommend that you find a private music teacher somewhere near you and get into piano lessons. The accountability there is fantastic. You've got a teacher who's helping to steward technique development. You know, I love all of the video services and things, but if you don't have a live teacher, you might be developing bad technique and things like that. But anyways, if you are in a place like maybe you're a homeschool family and you've got 10 kids and you say, no way, we can't afford private music lessons for 10 kids, I get that. Prodigy's music. If your child is too young for private lessons, maybe they're 1, 2 years old, 3 years old, and there's not a teacher near you that offers private music lessons, Prodigy's music. I think it's about $13 a month for their video streaming service, and they have these fantastic desk bells. You guys, this is brilliant because they're pitched. Here they are. Bing. And it's just like a bell that you ring for service at, like a hotel or something. Only they're pitched. We got C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Still kind of have morning voice. But anyways, these are great because for the tiny students, you can isolate pitches, which means if you want to focus on just the notes C and D, you can just give them C and D only. I highly recommend that you don't let them know that there are other bells until you're ready to use them, because I made that mistake. Like, I took the one bell out of the box and Catherine was 2 or 3 and she started, screaming like, I want the other ones. But it's great because on a piano, you can't isolate just 2 notes. If you sit them at the piano, they're just going to bang on the piano and play all the notes, which, I mean, that's part of exploration too. But and the other thing about these is there is no technique required. So there is no such thing as bad technique. I mean, you hit the bell. There's nothing to it. So these are really great. They also have a program called Podigies, which is screen free, which I super am in love with. We don't have a TV in our house, and we don't have, I mean, like, I have a laptop, my husband has a laptop, and we have phones, but my daughter doesn't have access to any screens. And this is a huge part of our philosophy and why I think that she is as musical as she is, because let's be honest, if she had unlimited access to TV and games, she would not be musical. She would watch TV and play games. But anyways, that's kind of an aside. So coming back to this, keyboard geography means recognizing, like if I say play C on the piano, a lot of my studio families, the parents are like, I don't I don't know how to find C on the piano. I can't help my student practice at home. I'm like, no, 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 no. You can come and you can sit in the lessons and watch us. If a 5-year-old can learn this, so can you. But it all comes down to pattern recognition. With the really little students, if they cannot see the pattern of 2s and 3s in the black keys on the piano, they're not going to be able to find individual notes like C or F or something like that. So to start out with, foundationally, we need to build their patterning skills, which is great because, I mean, a lot of these concepts are just really great for general childhood development. Patterns are something we do in preschool and kindergarten, right? And so I've got a lot of great resources for helping them to visualize that pattern. There's like a printable build a keyboard set where you can cut it out and they can put together a set of 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3. If you have a piano at home, you can just practice finding 2, 3, 2, 3. That's really great. And again, the Tiny Tinkles Town, they have like a name for each key. It's really cute. They've got Chloe Cat is C and Daisy Dog is D. So my little students love these books. Note coloring. This is a thing that I've never heard of another music teacher doing. I don't think I got this from anywhere. I think it just kind of came into my brain. And this is one of the most influential things that I think we did with Catherine with Prodigies and Here Come the High Notes and Tiny Tinklestown. Actually, all three of these resources use the same color system, which I am so grateful for. And C is always red, D is always orange, E is always yellow. And so it occurred to me when Catherine was like 3, she could not hold a pencil confidently and write letters yet, right? Because she was 3. But she could scribble red and scribble orange and scribble yellow. And so I started printing out really simple music. Like this picture was from when she was 3 years old. You guys, with Here Come the High Notes, she had already learned how to recognize these notes and she knew what colors they should be. I handed her this worksheet and I walked away because like I'm a music teacher and I'm a mom, so I've got like lots of stuff that I'm doing. I handed her this worksheet and I said, okay, color Snooty C red, friendly D orange, and bottom line E yellow. And I mean, it wasn't perfect. She had one or two that were wrong, but she was 3, and she sat and she colored, and this entertained her. And don't we all want things that are educational that like entertain our children and keep them busy? Here, have some note coloring. And so, while I teach in the afternoons from 1 to 7. That's 6 hours in the afternoon. Mr. Christian is home too because we both teach from home. So when I'm teaching, he's not, and vice versa. But a lot of the time he's busy doing work stuff too. And so I would hand her these, note colorings, I call them. And she started, great heavens, she started doing some like really, really complex note coloring by the time she was 4.5 years old. I'm like, man, this is like actual classical repertoire. Like, how are you reading at this level? This is crazy. So motor control and independence, finger independence. So a lot of times students, they have the mental understanding of what's going on. Maybe they're reading music, they understand rhythms, but their little fingers, they just can't get them to cooperate because, when we're asking finger 4 to press a key, how weird is that? I mean, how often in life do we have to like do something with individually finger number 4? It is strange. We have to develop the neural pathways to the fingers, and this is something absolutely that you can do at home. Wonder Keys is a curriculum used by private music teachers with their students. It's not really designed for parents to use with kids if the parents are not themselves, music educators. I still think there would be value in purchasing, book 1 or book 2 of the preschool series. Some of the things you might not be able to do with your students, but they have these little finger rings that you can print, and they've got a name for each of the fingers. So the thumb is an elephant, and her name is Thumbelina. How cute is that? We've got the pointer finger is called Pointer Panda, Middleton Mouse, Ringo Raccoon, and Pinky Pig. And so by giving little names to these fingers, this is so engaging and playful for the preschool students. You absolutely can use finger numbers. Pianists use finger numbers. The thumb is number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's just not as exciting as the little animals. The preschool students love the animals. So I highly recommend.
I like the metronome.
The metronome.
It's not on my road.
Okay, my child needs the metronome. Baby, I don't know where the metronome is. I'm sorry. When your 5-year-old demands the metronome, she's practicing cello. But anyways, I highly recommend doing anything you can just to develop. Oh, hold on 1 second. Hey, baby, it's on the music stand right here. Okay, but anything to develop motor control. So cutting, painting, coloring, Play-Doh. Marin, my friend Marin that wrote Here Come the High Notes is an occupational therapist. And so I think that's part of why she just understands the mind of children so well when she wrote that book. But I think, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that occupational therapists do a lot with like Play-Doh and stuff. I mean, I don't know. I'm not an occupational therapist. This is what I imagine. Anyways, and so there's that. But yeah, we do little games with the students like, can Thumbelina give Pinky Pig a hug? All right, they come together, boom, they have a hug. And so this is really cute for the preschool students. Book recommendations, you guys, I have 1,000. I have so many. And we all have relatives, we all have parents, grandparents that want to just inundate us with like plastic toys and things that make noise and drive us crazy. before they do that, Christmas time, birthdays, send them this list. I'm going to send you guys the Google Doc list at the end, and you can send it to them and say, all right, here's a list of books that you can purchase for my children, and we will love you for it. Here come the high notes, obviously, Tiny Tinkle's Town. The Story Orchestra, these are such beautiful books. The illustrations are gorgeous. We have all of them. They're a little bit pricey, anywhere between like $15 and $25 for the newer ones. They play music. You open them up and you push the buttons. Let's see if I can push it. And I don't know if you guys can hear the music or not. I don't know how loud that is, but it's real orchestral music, which is so, so sweet. And so they can learn about Tchaikovsky and Saint-Saëns and other famous composers and their compositions that they wrote. Oh, there's just so many book recommendations. My number one recommendation for fostering early musicality is just that every family, if it is at all remotely possible, procure a real acoustic piano for your home and have it in your house, that it be in tune. Of course, you want to have it in tune. In case your child does develop absolute pitch, you don't want them to develop absolute pitch with the wrong notes because your piano is out of tune. Oh, that's bad. I actually know a student who had that happen. But anyways, I know that an acoustic piano is not a possibility for everyone, but keep your mind open to it. If you're not moving anytime soon, just keep your mind open. A lot of families say, well, we can't afford that. False. There are people that give away acoustic pianos left and right. And so if you can find a way to get it into your house and get it tuned, a lot of times you can get a quote unquote free piano. You just do have to pay to have it tuned, so it's like a free kitten, but it's so valuable. If not an acoustic piano, a digital is good. Toy pianos when they're tiny. Catherine had a little toy piano, super cute. I do recommend digital versions of those tiny toy pianos now because the real acoustic tiny pianos don't sound very nice. They're kind of plinky. Get the desk bells from Prodigies. Oh, I forgot to mention. As far as I'm aware, I think the desk bells are currently sold out with Prodigies, which is really sad. So I feel kind of like a jerk for recommending them because I don't think they're going to be available until December or January. But if you can get your hands on some, I recommend it. There are off-brand ones, but the colors oftentimes don't match, which is unfortunate because then the curriculum is not very effective. Some games down here at the bottom. If you've got older kids, Diddle is a free game online that practices keyboard geography. It's really fun. Note Rush again, that one's not free, but it is really cool. Dance of Fire and Ice is just a game that helps them to keep steady beat. A lot of my students can beat my high score, I mean, handily, because I'm terrible at games. Vocal exploration, I'm not going to talk a lot about this. I'm not a voice teacher, but you guys, we got to use our voices. And so many moms will tell me, oh, I'm terrible at singing. You don't want to hear me sing. It's awful. And I say, that is not the thing to project over your children. Because when they hear you say that, what are they going to say when they're older? They're going to say, oh, I'm terrible at singing. And I know we're all guilty of this because I have said things like this too, or sometimes I'll say, oh, that was awful, when I play something on piano, and I have to catch myself because I don't want Catherine speaking that over herself. And so Prodigies is great for fostering singing. Vocal explorations, you can sing, low notes and high notes. You can sing siren sounds, hey, can you be a police car? You can do roller coaster sounds. Oh, and it feels silly. But you know what? When you have preschoolers, half the things you do are ridiculous anyways. So I think it's so valuable. Now, I'm going to go ahead and try to wrap up here. Yesterday, when I did a Zoom recording, I I talked all the way until Zoom cut us off and booted us out of the meeting. I'm not going to do that today. But these are just some pictures. We've got Catherine up here as a baby. I love this picture with her dad, and we're sitting at the piano. She started cello at 4. I generally don't recommend starting strings at the age of 4. And everybody's like, you're a hypocrite. You did it. Why can't we? And I said, it's just, she already could read music and understood the language of music, and it was still hard. It was hard. It was really, really hard. So piano is a great first start instrument. I mean, you can start strings young, but whew, you're signing up for a lot of effort on the part of the parent. But anyways, we have a lot of fun. This is our music studio. This was our spring recital back in May. We had such a lovely recital. We had some quartets play and some duos. So a lot of the moms present today are homeschool moms. Even if you're not, I know all parents, they want to foster musicality, but maybe you can't afford lessons, you can't find a local teacher. I've heard of a lot of teachers that won't accept students until they're 5, 6 years old, even 8 years old sometimes. And they will say, and this is a huge pet peeve of mine, they'll say, well, there's no benefit to starting piano lessons before the age of whatever. Um, and I just have a problem with that because some teachers don't like teaching little students. Sometimes they don't have the materials. They don't have curriculum that is suitable for little students. And that's okay. Like, you don't have to like teaching little students. I generally prefer teaching a little bit older students. The threes and fours are cute, but they're exhausting, and I love them, but they're exhausting. But to say that there's no value is not true. I think there is always value in music education. So anyways, here's the pitch. Feel free just to harvest all of the free content from this video webinar. And there's so much that you can do at home. But if you are one of the parents that says, this is all great and lovely, but I feel really overwhelmed, and I don't think that I can do this with my student, and I need more guidance, I'm thinking about offering a class from August through December. It would be like $10 a class, which is less than I have ever charged for anything ever. It'd be $180 for the whole fall semester. If you've got multiple kids at home, this might be something that would be a really great option for you. It's going to be just like what we did today, basically. You can join live on Zoom and ask questions and say, hey, my kid is really struggling with this concept. What should we do? Or you could just watch the recording if you're busy. Just an option, it's an idea. Our private tuition rate is $114 a month. So contrast that with $180 for the whole full semester. It's a thought. Leave you with one picture of Catherine because she's such a cutie. This was, again, from the spring recital playing cello. I've got everybody's emails. If you don't think I have your email, send it to me, and I'll make sure you get a recording of this. You can share this video webinar with as many friends and family members if you like. I'm going to get you guys the link for this Google Doc. This has almost all the links that we talked about today. Some might not be on here. If I'm missing anything, feel free to get in contact and be like, hey, can you send me that musical alphabet printable thing? And I'm happy to do that. Follow our Facebook page, Fox Music Instruction. I post really fun stuff all the time. I'm also going to send you guys a little, what is it, like a Google Forms, just to see if anybody's interested in different group class options. If you are interested in that early musicality class that I just mentioned, that's option 4 on here. Just let me know. But yeah, I'm so glad you guys could all join me. I meant to leave time for questions, but there is not time. So just thank you. And if you want to send me any questions on Facebook, feel free. All right, well, we'll see you guys around. Happy musicking! Fortissimo, he says bye. Bye.